Before I call upon the director of the institutes who want to respond, I want to go to the beginning of my talk. I think one of the main problems, and you saw it here, that on both sides, the public at large has lost the trust that we can come to any kind of an agreement between us and the Palestinians. I think that the main message that we have to come out with from here is that it's not true. It's possible to reach something, and we must do something because we don't have another choice, and the public should wake up and start pressuring. Otherwise, we really will get nowhere. Amos. I wanted to take advantage of my prerogative as the head of the Institute in order to instill this idea that we brought about. For a moment, I didn't think that this will organize the Middle East and all the relationship between Israelis and Palestinians. But together with that, we can continue to deal with, for many, many years, why we didn't reach an agreement. And I think that this is an essential interest of the State of Israel to organize its relationship with the Palestinians, either through an agreement or not through an agreement, and that is in order to achieve what is a national goal, a Jewish democratic state with borders, a state that has justice behind it, it has moral conduct, and it does not control another nation. But what's the problem? The problem is that I, as the head of intelligence, came to the conclusion, after I looked well at the Palestinians, that they're not able to reach peace with us. It wasn't my position, but anybody who looks at the Israeli political system also, like Dov Vaska, said you cannot reach peace. And if the two negotiators who were in this team, Gilad Sher was not on stage, who did it for Ehud Barak in 2000, and Udi Dekel, who did it for Tzipi Livni and Ehud Olmert, and that was forgotten by Dubi Weiss, that after you had some appeasement in the Palestinian terror in Judea and Samaria, there was a whole long negotiation, 2006, 7, and 8. And by the way, the appeasement did not happen because of that. Because of the intelligence and the Shabak and the IDF and the fence. And they have contribution, the negotiation. But to say that it's only because of the mechanisms, it's really a wrong presentation. Now, what is at hand is the future of our children and grandchildren. And we're not against negotiations. If miracle happens and we can reach a negotiation and reach an agreement and we can implement it, this institute will be very happy to take all its papers and burn them in a fire. But there's a huge importance to shape our borders so that the State of Israel will maintain itself as a Jewish and democratic state. And the same Sharon, who did such a courageous step in Gaza, a year before that he said it's impossible. And he said Netzarim is equal to Tel Aviv. The settlement is like the city. But today I want to say that he wasn't wrong. He didn't fail. Anybody who does the demographic calculations, what happens between the Jordan and the sea, forgets that Israel doesn't have to include in its calculus 1.5 million Palestinians who control themselves. We're not going to tell them who's going to control them. It can be Hamas or anybody else. But we do not control them, and the demographic situation is better after this withdrawal. I established this team as part of the work plan of the Institute in order to find a different paradigm, because those paradigms, beautiful ones that were presented here in 2000 and 2006, and Rob Danin showed them to us today in a wonderful talent, they do not work. We presented to you today an idea to unilaterally shape. Yes, it's a problematic word, but there's no other choice. We have to take the initiative and our fate in our own hands. Now, this unilateral shape is not identical to the withdrawal from Lebanon or from Gaza. It's not going to withdraw from every centimeter in order to get some recognition at the end of the occupation, because anyway nobody recognizes it. So, because for them the occupation is here. So we have to do the right thing for us in order to shape the borders of the State of Israel the way we should. And that's why it's a unilateral idea, but wherever you can, it will be coordinated with the United States, Europe, the international community, and if the Palestinians will decide that they want to coordinate, welcome. Welcome. And it's also going to be the implementation of the lessons and all the mistakes we made in 2005. And the main mistake was that we left the connection of Gaza to Egypt open to thousands of rockets and any other weaponry. We're going to remain in the Jordan Valley, and it will have two goals. One, to verify that what happened in Gaza will not happen in Judea and Samaria. And second, we have to keep the cards if, in case, at one stage, the evaluation that we have today that the Palestinians cannot reach the end of the conflict or don't want to do it, because for them it means recognizing Zionism, and they cannot, they're not able to solve the refugee problem in a way that we can accept it. And if it changes, that's one of the reasons there's no advancements. We'll be very happy to take those cards that are still in our hands to come to the negotiation table with the Palestinians. And that's why I think that there's an idea with three strategic advantages which are very significant. We are shaping with our own hands the reality that we believe in. We're not looking for cards for negotiations to give land in order to get, because the problem, Rob, is not the territory. The problem is lack of willingness of the Palestinians to recognize us as the borders of the state we want to live in, and the end of conflict, and without refugees in the State of Israel. That's the problem. But we're going to shape the reality of the two states that the Prime Minister, the Minister of Defense, Ms. Flournoy, presented the international community. Everybody believes in it. Let's advance it without conditioning it on the agreement of the Palestinians. Second, we'll fill out the battery of the legitimacy of the State of Israel, its moral stand and its political stand that are being eroded under the situation of sitting and doing nothing and the changes that are happening all around us. We're going to keep guarding the possibility to go back to the negotiation table and reach an agreement, because we're not in love with this idea. We just think that this is the less of all evils of all the other ideas, and it's the best for the State of Israel until a better one comes along. The State of Israel needs borders. The security fence is not a bad border at this stage. It solves the demographic problem in a very good way. And I suggest that we should abide by it. You need leadership. I said Sharon was not there in 2003, but he arrived in 2005. We think that the proposal of this institute should be on the public agenda, should be part of the discussion as an option, maybe the best that we have in our hands today, to shape the image and future of the State of Israel for our children and grandchildren. Thank you.